Wish you all a good day. The topic of my this semester MTech project is track fault detection using machine learning techniques. So first of all, let's talk about what are the general situations where we can observe the changes in the behavior of a track. The first situation where we can see the changes is while track crossing and switching. The second one is at the location of the track joints. And the third is at the location where there is a crack or defect present on a track. So the question arises, how do we perform this task? So this is generally done by a process which is known as structural health monitoring. So let me first describe about what the structural health monitoring or SHM is. SHM provides the methods of monitoring the structures and mechanical systems on real time as well as over a period of time using a periodically spaced dynamic response received from them. In a schematic diagram, it can be seen that the response from the structure is captured by the transducers and is sent to the data acquisition controller. From the DAC, it is sent to a server over a network. Different analytical computer and database are connected to a server remotely through the internet which exchanges information from each other continuously. So what are the benefits of SHM? It can identify corrosion, cracking, strength, tension, and the location of damage in a real time. It is the integration of five procedures: operational evaluation, data acquisition, feature extraction, dimensionality reduction, and statistical modeling. But here, the feature extraction is the most crucial procedure in the whole monitoring study, as it is the extraction of the information which actually contains the damage information. In this report, a detailed study on the feature extraction has been presented. Now coming to the description of the dataset. Our dataset has been obtained from the Professor Vikrant Racherla at the Indian Institute of Technology, Kharagpur. It consists of the signal response from the various accelerometers installed on the Excel bogie and the coaches of the Calcutta Metro. For our analysis purpose, signal response from the accelerometer attached to the Excel has been considered here. The data consists of a run of a metro from one station to another station, which is of 306.44 second recorded at the sample frequency of 500 Hz. After we received our dataset, the first process is the pre-processing of the data, which involves denoising. Here the denoising has been done using a wavelet decomposition method, and the wavelet used is DOVAS 8. It fits the data using scaling and shifting operation and generates coefficient. The decomposition framework can be understood as follows. A signal S is taken, it is first subjected to a special type of low pass and a high pass filter to yield low pass and a high pass filter band at level 1. The low pass filtered signal is again subjected to a low pass and a high pass filter at level 2, and this process goes on until the specified decomposition level is reached. The coefficients are generated at the each level, and the coefficients which are smaller in values are typically noise, which are again then removed from the signal. The remaining coefficient reconstruct to form the denoised signal. This is the denoised signal that we got. While denoising, it has been taken into consideration that not too much information is getting lost. Since we won't be able to analyze each and every data points, thus we need to take a sample size. In our task, a sample size of 100 data points has been taken here, which results in a time period of such signals as 0.2 second and the frequency resolution of 5 Hz. After we processed our data, next step is feature extraction. The feature extraction methods used here can be classified into three categories: the time domain, frequency domain, and the complexity measurement. In the time domain categories, the first method is the collection of statistical features, as these features altogether defines the properties of the signal. The features are maximum, minimum, mean, standard deviation, mean absolute deviation, skewness, kurtosis, RMS, form factor, crest factor, impulse factor, and margin factor. Now, the statistical features of all the subsignals present are calculated, which are plotted here. I have not included all the plots because it would have resulted in a very lengthy presentation. Only maximum, mean, and mean absolute deviation has been shown here. Second time domain features which we can extract is JOTS parameter. It is suited for the real-time analysis because of its low computational cost. The parameters are activity, mobility, and complexity. The plot of one such parameter is shown here. The third and the last time domain features that we have used to extract feature is the mathematical morphology operator. This operator modifies the shape of the original signal by transforming it through its interaction with the another object called the structuring element. The operators used here are erosion, dilation, closing, and opening, and its formula is given here. Since MMA is used in binary and grayscale images, hence to use the technique here, we first converted the signal into the binary form by applying the threshold amplitude value and then applied the operator. After implementing different operators, the remaining one's value in the respective operators are summed and used as a feature. Now coming to the frequency domain, on the application of the fast Fourier transform on the signal, we got the distribution of peaks, which can't be used as a feature. So we calculated the statistic of the feature distribution, which can be used as the feature to distinguish different signals. The statistical function used for calculating the statistics of the distribution are frequency center, root variance frequency, spectral skewness, and spectral kurtosis. The frequency center calculated over the whole dataset is also shown here. When we applied the Hilbert transformation on the signal and used it to calculate the power spectral density, we again get the distribution of power over frequency. So we applied the same technique as used in FFT to get the feature. Now coming to the complexity measurement category, we used the Kolmogorov-Smirnov test. It is used to compare and measure the similarities of two cumulative distribution functions Tx and Rx, where Rx is the reference CDF and Tx is the target CDF. Since the features we calculated contain some outliers, which would result in suppressing the patterns of the data. Thus, data capping has been performed here. We can see here in the figure on the right side that there is only one peak present and everything else seems to be zero. But on capping, we could see its pattern in the left figure. Now we have our features, but on counting the number of features, it came out to be 28. Since many of the features we used earlier can be somehow correlated to each other, thus to remove multicollinearity, dimensionality reduction algorithm, which is PCA or principal component analysis here, has been implemented. The PCA works on the principle of maximizing the variance. To reduce from n dimension to k dimension, it aims to find k unit vectors onto which to project data so as to minimize the projection error. Here, by applying PCA, we reduced our features to 10. For finding the number of clusters, k-means clustering algorithm has been applied here. The algorithm of how the k-means work is given here. We first select the k-centroid at random. We take some threshold distance and assign the data points to these centroid points. Then we recalculate the new centroid of the assigned data points, and then the old centroid points are shifted to the new centroid point. This process continues until we get convergence. But to find the number of clusters that the data should have, we apply the algorithm on different clusters number and calculate the loss function. The elbow points on the graph gives the optimal number of clusters that the data should have. Here we can see that the elbow point is at number of clusters equal to 3. So this data have 3 different behavior. Also the number of data points belonging to each clusters have been shown here too. On plotting the data with respect to the time, the result we got is shown here. This is the plot of the clusters to which data points should belongs to with respect to the time. Coming to the conclusions, we got to know that there are three different track conditions over which the metro is operating. But because I had been given the data from only one run, that is, my data does not cover the data with different operating conditions, I can't actually say that my model is robust or not. Again, also one conclusions I got while analyzing the data which has not been covered in this presentation is this that the accelerometer magnitude from the coach was much less as compared to what was observed from the axle and bogie and was distributed on all other axes. This signifies how good vibration isolation is performed because of the presence of the suspension system in the metro. Now, the future works. Future works includes determination of the different track condition that has been observed above, the developing of an ensemble model from the response obtained from the accelerometer attached at other positions like that of Bogey, Koch, etc., and the use of advanced and complex models such as LSTM for better performance and results. Thank you for listening.